Talk with Chad King.
Well, Dak, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellent.
Starts now.
Welcome, Patriots. It's one of those nights where some of you are so excited about what's about to happen. And some of you are sitting there clenching your collective ass as to how this is going to go down. Because the great concept of we the people is that we have the right and the duty to stand against tyranny, corruption, and anything else that gets in the way of our government being for the people, by the people. I have it all tonight. We are going to lay out exactly what you've been hearing in the media. Well, the people that actually know what they're talking about in regards to our establishment GOP, from Arizona to New York to all over this country, where the establishment GOP seems to have circled the proverbial wagons, put on their khaki pants, their blue jacket with the shiny gold button, and the aristocratic concept of who the old guard is. And they are coming for everything MAGA. They are going to step on MAGA. They're going to ruin MAGA wherever they can, because they cannot allow Donald Trump to get 4 more years. They cannot allow the MAGA Republicans that have been reawakened to take back their country. They cannot allow any of that to happen. We are on a ton of platforms tonight. This is freedomfirst.tv, one of my networks. We are on Getter primarily. Getter, I have the chat up. Let's see some Thugzillas, because we're about to get nasty. And when I say nasty, and I don't care if you don't like the way I say it, because I'm pissed off. I'm doing a show based off of the very things that we all stand around as collective conservatives and say, holy crap, we've been considered conspiracy theorists for the last 2 years. And it keeps coming true. Well, just on the national, that feels good. But for somebody that's in the fight and has been attacked in every way, shape, or form, even by some of my panelists tonight, the truth needs to come out, because ultimately this comes down to we the people. I have been screaming from the rooftops that the GOP establishment is the biggest problem we have in our collective party. The reasoning for that is that they have the money, they have the resources, they have the positions where they can continue to step on, yes, we the people, the very people that they are supposed to be serving. The concept of service in our political lexicon has been gone for a very, very long time. There's been some great fights, Arizona being one of them. We know that was taken from Kerry Lake, Abe Abedin, and Mark Fincham. They're not quitting, and neither shall we. But the thing is that so many of you, especially in the Southeast, and even this is systemic across the country, you're being lied to by your establishment GOP, those aristocratic people that believe the GOP is not for any of you. Matter of fact, I have a video to prove that tonight. Tonight, we are laying out everything that is ugly. I am going to pull this curtain back. I am going to drop names along with my panelists and our whistleblower. This is national, because here in South Carolina, we have taken that fight to an extreme level, to the point where we are actually out there shining a light on the petulant child, Drew McKissick, that is the SCGOP chairman, under the guise of his master, Ronna McDaniel, but she's not. His master is the political machine around him. The Dixie Democrats, if you will, those that choose to empower themselves and say, oh, I'm such a good Republican. They want to take you out, MAGA. Mr. President, South Carolina is setting itself up to not be anywhere near where you need to be at 2024. It's obvious. It's weird that the Democrats are the ones that want to put South Carolina at the forefront and be the first state in the primary. Wonder if what would that do to the Republicans? Well, what it's going to do is you're going to see Henry McMaster turn his back on Donald Trump Drew McKissick, and they're going to put up their pony, which is Nikki Haley, who basically put them all in their place. And coming out of that primary, it then gives Nikki Haley a whole bunch of momentum going into some of the other states. Trump's going to smoke her in Iowa. He's going to smoke her in New Hampshire. By then, Nikki Haley will be so far behind and Trump so far ahead that I don't even know that DeSantis can keep up. But here's the thing. They're going to try to pigeonhole every one of these primaries, and they're going to set it up so that Donald Trump and MAGA dies at 2024. I've said that the GOP, we've seen it in Arizona. Now I'm going to lay it out right here at my doorstep. And all the things that I've said, we have the proof. Let's get into it. And it's time to take out the trash. Okay. So last week, you all remember I brought my friend from Oconee County, Horry County, Greenville County, Beaufort, York County, Anderson County. We have a bunch of counties that have taken this fight to the establishment. They don't like it. And Drew, the petulant child, Mr. Khaki, he has decided that he doesn't and is just going to run roughshod on everybody because he's in a position of power, and then backed up by political figures throughout the state. I would like for you all to meet Mickey Haney, my friend from Oconee County. And just for all of you patriots out there watching on Getter, because, hey, Mickey, I want you to understand, the people on Getter love Lindsey Graham. Big fans. So this might be rough. I'm not real sure. Isn't that right, Getter? Getter, I mean, I'm telling you right now, every time I bring up Lady G, they lose their mind. They lose their collective mind on Getter, and they say, what is the hell is wrong with South Carolina? You are representative of that county in which Lindsey started his political career and calls home in Oconee County. And you guys got into the America First concept, right? You saw, maybe it was Dan Schultz or you heard my SCGOP or whoever, and you guys decided to bring patriots together that want to change this country. And you took that opportunity and you rolled up and took your Oconee County GOP over. Yes?
Yes, that is correct. And
first off, welcome to the show and live.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't know we had internet in Oconee.
Well, actually, I'm at work, so I have internet here.
There we go. All right. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, it's I was listening to your introduction, and I'm so grateful. And y'all gonna think I'm crazy when I say this, but there's a good in everything, and Trump and COVID really opened the eyes of all the sheepdogs out there that were asleep. That really has brought the conservatives out. We've seen what was going on with what we thought was Republican states, and not to say what went on in the Democratic ran states. And so it really opened up a lot of people's eyes, and that's what really got a lot of people involved. And give credit where it's due. Trump opened a lot of people's eyes.
Sure. And this is country. This is Trump country. 70% of South Carolina voted for Trump. Horry County is might be bigger. I don't know. I'll bring one of my other panelists on here. Maybe they know. But where we're at in Oconee is a small county, and I have the last time I had you on the phone, I didn't have the stuff up. But who exactly is Jim Mann?
Jim Mann is a guy that ran for vice chair when the position came open. I did not run for it because I was the secretary at the time. I was happy being the secretary. And he ran under the illusion that he was going to be all for helping our chairman finish strong. But as soon as he got in there, it was one meeting after another meeting after another meeting trying to remove him.
You're the new vice chair.
Yes, my vice chair.
How about
you're not my vice chair, but the vice chair. But yes,
with Drew McKissick, the guy they're trying to get rid of, was he establishment?
No, he was not. And actually, the guy that's the vice chair is a member of that offshoot party that Drew McKissick decided it was that he should go speak at, but has not yet graced the Oconee County Republican Party to speak at any of their events since the old guard was kicked out.
Well, maybe we should let the national audience know exactly who Drew McKissick is. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are about election integrity, which every conservative is, because I believe that everybody that's probably watching this show that has any type of conservative bone in their body understands that Donald Trump had the election stolen in 2020 or 2022, whatever. I can't remember what year. 2020. Thank you. And all of a sudden, we start talking about election integrity all over the place, to the point where there were groups brought up in South Carolina, even though we are ES&S and not Dominion. And we had the Drew McKissick, this fella, so y'all know. Can y'all hear me? That guy right there. He came up and said and put together an election integrity bill, which some BS internet group said that we got a green now, which they lied to Trump about. And when it was talked about anything in regards to those ES&S machines, it is blown to don't talk about it, stop talking about it, and to the point where they get angry. Ladies and gentlemen, a woman named Nancy found Drew McKissick in Charleston, South Carolina, and asked him about his voter integrity and the concept of these machines and what we are doing about it.
Drew,
you can't have a conversation without a telephone?
I can.
Can you have a conversation without a telephone? No, you can't.
Public.
Okay, you're not being very mature. Thank you very much. I told you to go back and read the bill and call me, and I'll talk to you on the phone. Would you like
What
that?
is your position on the
Call me on the
ES&S
phone.
machines? No, your
Thank you very
position
much.
as head of. Oh my gosh, Republicans count on you. Like conservatives are counting on you to make sure we have a free and fair election.
Ma'am, I've already talked to you about the machines. I've talked to you about the
No, you
Go back
haven't.
and
You
read the
just said
bill.
read
The
the bill.
bill
What
tells
is
you
your
everything about the
position,
bill.
not the bill?
My
Your
position is the bill. That's my position.
Your
We got
position.
what we wanted in the bill is what I just told you in the room right there, and you weren't
So you
listening
think?
because you wanted
No,
to
you
get your phone
didn't.
out and
No,
talk
you
to
didn't
me.
say
Yeah, I
anything
did.
about machines.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
I told you about the bill. Said all that's in the bill.
All right. Well, God bless you all. I hope it works.
Now, during that exchange, he actually grabbed her phone to the point where she had to fumble with it. And for some reason, that one doesn't seem to work right now. But I want to explain who Drew is. Again, when we won in Horry County, and when I'm sure Oconee wasn't sure about y'all yet, but Greenville and Horry were definitely the big boys that Drew lost in his in our reorganization. I've been yelling about reorganization in all my shows. People pay attention, and we've got training for you coming. But Drew actually went out to Fit News, and he went through a whole dissertation in Fit News here, talking about how he dealt with Greenville County. So Fit News wrote, and this is my favorite, one of his quotes, but McKissick went completely off the deep end, unloading in an undisciplined and unwise manner on the conservative activist who ran his hand-picked slate of candidates out of office. According to reporter Jamie Lovegrove, Post and Courier, McKissick predicted the new leadership of the Greenville Party, which has yet to be selected. This makes me laugh every time. Incidentally, would turn the organization into a dumpster fire. It will essentially be a leper colony for the next year and a half, McKissick told Lovegrove. Wait, did McKissick just refer to the MAGA movement in South Carolina as a bunch of lepers? Why, yes, he did. And pouring more gasoline on this conflagration, whatever that word is, McKissick added to the state party was prepared to support rival GOP organizations in Greenville County created by sane Republicans. Let me read that again. And pouring more gasoline, McKissick added that the state party would prepare to support rival GOP organizations in Greenville County created by sane Republicans. Here you have the state chairman of the GOP talking to reporters, mind you. And it comes down to this. Sound familiar? Regular readers of this news outlet will call McKissick his involved in unprecedented state party meddling against fiscal conservative candidates during 2020 GOP primary election cycle. He even backed one fiscally liberal GOP candidate against an incumbent in a contest primary election. This leads me to what I believe as the most important point of this column, the pervasive double standard that exists within the Republican Party of the Palmetto State in the aftermath of contentious partisan primary elections. Is that about say it all for what you've dealt with there in Oconee?
Yes, and actually, that's the playbook he's been using. And from what I'm understanding, it's not just Oconee County, where if they do not like who took over the Republican Party, they start up a shadow group. Apparently, that's happened in every other county that was taken over by conservative members. And those shadow groups really come in and try to take away from the abilities that the Republican Party has. It's been a long, hard fight. I tell you that much. It's something.
Well, before we get into what happened to Oconee, I was sent an email from another upstate GOP, not Greenville, not Oconee, not Beaufort, not Anderson, not any of those, right? And I took all their names out of it because there's legitimate fear. And when we get to your story of Oconee, you're going to be able to, because you guys went directly after Lindsey Graham, and then all of a sudden all hell broke loose. So this letter came out in this piece. Newly formed Freedom Caucus for past 2 years. I have been telling everyone I know that the GOP in South Carolina is rigged from top to bottom, that we are being lied to. The election integrity poison pill lie is a primary example of the deception the legislature practices on a regular basis. The article below confirms the majority of our elected officials prefer to keep us in the dark about what they're really doing. The fact that the Freedom Caucus members intend to tell us the truth is totally unacceptable to the establishment, and I'll throw GOP folks. We absolutely do have a deep state swamp in South Carolina, and it consists of the majority of the elected members of the legislature, House and Senate, the governor, the SCGOP, and are undoubtedly more powerful than us. So let's go back to Oconee. You were the treasurer of Oconee County GOP, correct?
Yes, I had moved from the secretary position over to the treasurer position.
Very good. And then you guys went out and actually censured Lindsey Graham, correct?
Before I was secretary of treasurer, I was also EC of Salem. And during that time that I was EC of Salem, we brought about a censure for Lindsey Graham. And shortly after that is when the attacks on David had started. David
being your chairman?
Being our chairman, yes.
Okay. And then on one evil night, a little person from the SCGOP rolled up into your business, didn't he?
He did. The thing that I noticed first was that, none of us have ever seen him. And the first thing he does is walk over towards Jim Mann, which gave me the assumption that they knew each other.
The Jim Mann being the new establishment vice chair that was put in place.
That is correct. The vice chair that was trying his best to run out the chair.
Sure. So his name's Mark Benoit, by the way.
Yes.
What is the title of Mark Benoit?
I have no idea.
Put that in the private chat in the rest of my panel if you know what Mark Benoit's job is, because he's a little fella and he seems to just do whatever Drew wants. But I don't know him to be in an elected state position in any way. He is a bureaucrat essentially working for none other than the petulant child, Drew McKissick. Yes?
He came across that way.
I just got it in the chat. He was on Lindsey Graham's team. There you go.
Well, that would explain a lot, huh?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to connect the dots for you tonight. I swear you're going to lose your mind. And remember, this is just what's going on here and some other places that when we continue throughout the evening, but this is systemic in the United States. You heard Mark Levin say it himself. So that being said, Mark Benoit came in, cozied up to Mr. Mann, and then what transpired when you started your meeting?
Well, when we started the meeting, we had one agenda, and they wanted to vote in their agenda, which was basically to discussion of our violation of 16C. We went back and forth on that. And finally, Mark had spoke up and something to the point of, well, we can have the trial tonight, because I made the statement, because of the GOP rules are so vague and our bylaws are so vague, and they both reference the Robert's Rules of Order in those situations where the rules and bylaws are so vague, that within Robert's Rules of Order, we needed to actually elect a committee, hold a trial, and go through the process, the 4-step process. They decided to run what information they had that night, which was actually a lot of the people that had the accusations brought against them did not even have the documents that they were claiming was at fault at, nor were we able to prepare a defense. And a lot of them, well, all of them were false. And I don't see how anybody with any integrity would have reviewed those and removed the members that was removed.
So I'm going to bring in our chairman here in Horry County, Roger Slagle, because I want to make sure between the three of us that we have down the understanding of the SCGOP and bylaw and how this is working, so that we can actually show the people how the tyrannical government that is our establishment GOP here in South Carolina is ran. Everybody, welcome Roger Slagle, the chairman of the Horry County Republican Party, regardless of what Drew McKissick thinks. Welcome to the show, Roger.
Thanks. Good to be here. Mickey, we talked on the phone. Good to see your face.
And as you can see, they talked. There's coalitions going together, and this is where I've always said it takes we the people to do it, and it takes a coalition of people to come together to out this wrong. So, being here, are you familiar with any bylaw, state law, frog law, anything else that's a law that says that Drew McKissick has the rightful place to remove anybody from any county GOP in the state, Roger?
No, and I mean those let's say people that run for the positions of chair, vice chair, state EC, they cannot be removed. They can't even be removed by their county. They can't be removed by the state. And there's other than a couple of things in the bylaws, which are related to endorsing candidates in a primary against a Republican.
So let me ask you this, Mickey. You are removed because you shared a video. Am I right? Is that the correct easy way? Let's play that video so that the rest of our panelists can see how absolutely disgusting this is. And you sent this video to me because it's actually the video you shared, correct?
That is correct.
I didn't make this up. I didn't put it together. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the video and the reasoning that Mickey was removed unjustly and illegally from his position. And what was it, 6 ECs and your chairman also, correct?
It was 6 officers. Well, actually 5 officers or chairman. One guy just stood up and said he had enough and just resigned.
So it's just said uncle, right?
Yeah.
All right. But this is the main reason they removed you as the treasurer.
That is correct.
Enjoy.
Or the poor or common man. I don't know how many times I got to tell people the Republican Party is not for common people. It says so in our creed.
Right.
I reserve the right to be uncommon.
Yep.
If you want to be a common man supporter, you need to go to the left and help them organize unions and do that stuff. That's where labor belongs. That's who has labor. That's who does that. Republicans are not common people. We're entrepreneurs. We're business owners. We're leaders. There's doers and there's donors.
Well, what you described
was elitist.
Basically our and do that stuff. That's where labor belongs. That's who has labor. That's who does that. Republicans are not common people. We're entrepreneurs. We're business owners. We're leaders. There's doers and there's donors.
Well, what you described
Was elitist.
basically.
So I heard that Jim Mann's right-hand man, Randy Vaughn, don't want the common man in the Republican Party. All he wants is entrepreneurs and businessmen. That's what he says belongs in the Republican Party. Not us, not the blue-collar, hard-working people that makes up the majority of the Republican Party. What do y'all think about that, folks? That's the Republican Party executive committee man saying that blue-collar workers don't belong in the Republican Party. Entrepreneurs and businessmen only. Jim Mann's right-hand man. And the Bill Sandifer backer. Think about it. That's Democratic. That's a Democrat. A Democrat right there.
So that was the video you shared, correct? You shared this video, and that was the reasoning. They said they were removing you as the treasurer of the Oconee County GOP.
That is correct. And even Drew McKissick, I sent that video to Drew McKissick, so he can't say that he did not have knowledge of it. So
I just want to put this out there because basically the video you shared was exposing the vice chairman of your Oconee party, his buddy, sitting there saying that all of you out there that are waving your Trump flags, that go to work every day and do what you're supposed to do under the guise of being just that, an American and a part of society, need to go to the Democratic Party. Did you hear the same thing, Roger?
I did. That is pretty blatant.
And so, Mr. Mickey, you are wrong for doing so.
Yeah, it was just a reason for them. They used it under.
That's my point.
Yeah, they just used it under the pretense because the guy making the video was actually running. He was a precinct president, and he was running as a write-in against Bill Sandifer. Mm-hmm. My intent was not to promote Perry's video. You'd have to go back and understand the backstory behind it. In the past, Randy Bond had done several things that were not kosher and should not have been done in the Republican Party, especially as an officer. And I tried to get him censored during that time, and it fell through. So this was just building a case against him, why he needs to be censored, why he's not a good fit for the Oconee County Republican Party. And in doing so, it backfired on me and they removed me.
Is it true that his precinct actively is trying to have him removed as the EC?
Actually, it's not his precinct. His precinct consists of only him, his wife, and his daughter.
Oh, well, it's not ballot harvesting, but damn it if that's not amazing. But I want to add to that because we said that it was a reason, right? It actually isn't, and I can prove it. This is a email that was sent out by yes, nepotism much, absolutely. This is an email that was put out in regards to how Drew actually looks at the party. I didn't want to put it all up because it just would look terrible and you wouldn't be able to read it. But most of the party's political influence in our country is channeled through two major political parties, everything from public policy to candidates for public office, and the laws are proposed and or passed in our country are influenced by political parties. It is fair to say that the degree to which you can participate and be effective in the political process depends, in some extent, on the degree to which you get involved in your political party. So far, I'm in, right? So far, it's not bad.
That's great.
The apathy of others increase your impact. Boom, right off the rails. We're done. Most people in your country don't get involved in political parties. They don't even bother to vote in party primaries, much less volunteer to serve in any elected capacity within a party. Consider some numbers. Only a little more than half of the Americans bother to register to vote. A little more than half of them will vote in the average election. Less than half of the number will vote in the average party primary, then split that number in half between the average turnout in Republican and Democratic primaries. At that point, you already have more influence than 80% of the population. He's promoting this. Hang on. Party involvement magnifies your political influence. It will vary slightly from state to state, but your average only about one tenth or just 1% of Americans are actually part of the political party structure, meaning they have joined a local party precinct organization. A still smaller percentage of the group either gets elected to a local leadership position or has a delegate to the county, district, state, and national levels. These are the people who are usually sought out by candidates and elected officials for their feedback, their help on campaigns, and to fill staff positions in government. So now he's promising jobs, right? Political parties are just vehicles. Political parties are just some form of another to have existence since the foundation of our country. Their philosophies have changed over time. However, members come and go. In other words, they're no better than the people that comprise them at any given time. Think of political party as a bus that a group of people use to get from one place to another. Every few years, the bus pulls over to the side of the road. People get on and off. They fight over the steering wheel, and then it goes down the road for a few more years. But if you're not on the bus, you don't have influence. So again, do you want to have a greater impact for the conservative agenda and things that you care about? Then get involved in the Republican Party at the local level. Don't let people you may disagree with or are disagreeable keep you from getting involved. Well, that's nice. That's really nice that he said that. You can't control what other people do or don't do, only yourself. Don't be a part of the 99%. Now, does this have any way as an email? And we are known as the Big Tent Party, right? Does this have any way, shape, or form to say you need to get involved? He's promising this utopian society that you're going to have this influence. That's why we have so many morons out there, like some people I'm going to show in some text here directly, because they actually believe this shit. So the idea of that apathy breeds power is essentially what that gives off. Would that be what you two, and he says that you shouldn't be against people you disagree with. Drew McKissick ideologically and emphatically disagrees with all three of us. We know what Drew thinks about me. But how about you, Roger?
No, I mean, it's clear. And, you know, what we did a little over 18 months ago with a big help from Elizabeth and yourself was to do the opposite, was to go out to the places that had been totally ignored. I'm talking, precincts. And we have a bit of a dynamic here, sort of west and east of the waterway. And, literally the bulk of the precincts, let's say west of the waterway were just totally ignored. And we were able to bring people out to get them to realize what's going on in their state, in their county, to a certain extent, enough to show up, to come to a reorganization meeting, to run for an office, to become a delegate representing the state representing the county for the state elections. So yeah, I mean, clearly, if you try to leverage that apathy, the same sort of people are going to continue to be in power. And we were able to do some amazing things a year and a half ago.
So there was when you were removed in your court, Mr. Mickey, so this young man who has no job, he's a bureaucrat paid by the SCGOP. I believe he's in his 20s, maybe 30s, maybe no, he's 20s. He's got to be 20s. How did he run said court? Did he put on a cloak? Did he stand up front, or did he just let the vice chair run rampant and basically remove all of you?
No, actually, he was the so-called parliamentarian that was sent down from Drew McKissick. And in doing that, his interpretations were different than how I would interpret things. So it's back to we were new to this, just like Horry County had stated. We reached out to all of the outlying precincts that were not organized Originally, I think there was 12 or 13 precincts. We got 29 now. We brought a lot of people on board. But we were not trained. So we were fumbling our way through. And when he showed up and he started disagreeing with us, and it being the last minute, we had no chance to prepare or look up or really contest what he was stating. So it put us in a awkward situation, and especially when he stated that we would not have a means to defend ourselves or a chance to review the information that was brought up against us, that we could do it that night.
That seems fair.
Yeah, that seems fair. I mean, we had, 5 minutes, if that.
So they wouldn't let you actually fight they didn't bring any proof to anything that they're trying to, because it sounds like they're spinning it to make it work for, and my next panelist said kangaroo court. Absolutely. So this was a sham from the go, having a 20 some odd year old parliamentarian that nobody in this state would agree that he in any way, shape, or form is a parliamentarian. And somebody that we don't have on here that I was trying to get on, we're going to have another show, but Greenville County, they had an election. They had 3 people elected. And then there was an investigation on that election because it was widely known that it was fraudulent. You're both aware of what happened in Greenville, correct? There was 3 people elected. The ECs voted to have an investigation as to that election. And when it came out, it was proven that there was ballot harvesting in a GOP election to not make so that the other slate wouldn't win. And I thought it was important that we put Drew McKissick's statement up in regards to the ECs of Greenville and the investigation that was put forth by the chair that fraudulently won. She's the one that picked out the guy to investigate. And then came back and said it was fraudulent. That slate resigned, and that's pretty widely known within the GOP, correct, gentlemen?
Yeah, and I think there was also allegations. I don't know whether they got the proof, but people were incentivized monetarily to
show up and vote. They gave people money.
Exactly.
So this is Drew McKissick's statement in regards to Greenville. No doubt by now you've heard of what happened yesterday in Greenville, but I wanted you to hear it directly from me because he's the guy, right? He's the chairman of the state. He's the one that's supposed to keep the party unified. He's the guy that's supposed to put out and say there was a mistake or this was done and we need to adjudicate it. And this is what he continued to say. All of the officers of the Greenville County Republican Party resigned. This was due to an absolutely unworkable environment created by the SCGOP group. This group is led by people who have no personal morality. Hang on, let me get rid of this thing here. Sorry, hide that. Where was I? Morality or decency, and have harangued, berated, and intimidated everyone who disagrees with them until they just want to quit and be left alone for fear for themselves, for their jobs. In short, the goal of this group is either to gain control of the party themselves or destroy it in the process. We will not tolerate it, period. This is the best part. Everybody pay attention. The important thing, what we do from here, the state party is working with concerned Republicans in Greenville to create new auxiliary organization that will help build, promote, to focus on being a positive, productive force in our party in the area. Greenville is far too important of an area for our statewide ticket for us not to help them take on such a project. We will put the full force of the state party behind these promotional efforts. The important thing is what we do from here. The state party working with concerned Republicans to create auxiliary organizations that will help build and promote focus. Did I just read that? Yeah, I did. My bad. So I wrote down the wrong one. Anyway. So what you see is the state chair, after it being investigated by the team that illegally won from ballot harvesting to paying for ballot people's votes. That's the state chair flipping it out there for the rest of the state to say, I got caught with my people. And what you all need to do is shun them to the point where the state GOP chairman said, I am going to develop auxiliary groups to have the ear of the SCGOP, those delegates, the national delegates to the presidential and everything else, because he got caught. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. And that's I think what's happening throughout South Carolina with these counties that have turned conservative is the politicians and the established GOP does not know how to react. They've never been called out like this, and they're stumbling all over themselves trying to figure out how to react. And that's one reason that Horry County and Oconee County have a shared interest, because they're telling them one thing and then telling us the other.
And they're telling Horry County. So you have a Union precinct, correct?
Yes, South Union Precinct.
South Union Precinct. But before I do that, because I figured out why that was the same, the last paragraph is on there. We need to read. All Republican elected officials are being notified that this is being done, and such new entity will be the conduit for all, and notice how it's in caps, all SCGOP efforts in that area until further notice. He basically said you're going to get no support. You're not going to have the SCGOP in any way, shape, or form, any of its funding, any of its help to promote Republicans. This man drew a line in the sand and started the men's Republican club. And apparently there's a district Greenville County GOP that's ran by a never Trumper who actually put on Facebook that Donald Trump over my dead body or something like that. This is what we're dealing with, and this is systemic. I've talked to Arizona. They're dealing with the same thing. We're just laying it out for you because this is all true. This is all their words. And I mean, that statement is from Drew, the petulant child, McKissick, stating that all Republican elected officials are being notified that this is being done. And such new entity will be a conduit for all SCGOP efforts in that area. And then they go out there and they put on Facebook why none of the elected officials show up at any of your events as the Republican Party. Ain't that a bitch?
Yeah, it's been a real eye opener for us here in Oconee, and one of their tactics, a lot of their tactics mimics what you hear from the Democratic Party.
There it is.
It's they get in there and it's a barrage of one thing after the other, and to the point to where some people just give up and say, hey, listen, I don't want it. I'd rather be at home with my kids,
right,
living in peace.
He's the only one getting paid in this entire party in the state.
Yes, and I hear he's getting paid very well.
Yeah, because he's also he also hires his own consulting firm to consult for virtual. This is what happens when you let the gold buttons run rapid. And here is because you brought up Democrats, you saw Project Veritas came out, and Miss Matthews up there was saying, where's my money bag, boys, and whatnot, and that we need to take over the Republican Party from the inside out. That's already happening because our supermajority of the state house of South Carolina, from the governor, Senate, and legislature, gives out almost as far as conservative bills that go out, is 58% per the American Conservative Union. That's Donald Trump's guy over there at the CPAC. And they actually put us as the lowest ranking conservative supermajority in the United States of America. And just wait, folks, the lowest ranking politician in the United States as a Republican. Now, if I was writing, I'd put ... Wait for it. Luke Rankin, the third most powerful man in the state, who decides what judges are going to adjudicate everything, because as this state sits, we are one of two stupid states that still appoints judges. This man is in the Senate. He has been there a long time. He is the third most powerful man, and he is the head and the chairman of the Senate Judge Merit Selection, which puts all the judges out there. That's why they want us in court. That's why they want to sue us, because they own the judges. The judges don't answer to the people. And that Luke Rankin carries a 24% conservative voting record as a leader of one of the most powerful committees in our state. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's a sad situation. It's
It's stupid. It's not sad.
well,
Can't make this up.
well, I got something else to throw in there dealing with judges.
Wait. I don't want to get on the judge thing yet.
Yeah.
Because we're dropping names today. You brought up Mr. Sandifer.
Yes.
So when they brought the lawsuit to you, saying that they were going to sue you because you are not they want the money, they want your bank account, all that good stuff, right?
Right. And
when that was filed, you're actually privy to the men that went into your magistrate court on the other side of your county because it was a friendly judge. Who went when they filed this lawsuit against you and Mr. David?
It was relayed to me that it was Jim Mann, Tyler Jordan, and Bill Sandifer.
Bill Sandifer is a legislator, correct?
A state representative, yes.
So why would a state representative be walking hand in hand with one I've shown that said that all of us regular folks need to go to the Democrats, and Mr. Tyler I don't know a whole lot about, doesn't matter. But Bill Sandifer is a House rep, drove to the other side of the county to find him. I bet he's friends with somebody on the merit selection, or he might be on it himself. I don't know. And Mr. Sandifer himself is walking around like he's holier than thou. And there's a bunch of write-ups about him being busted for prostitution in Panama, correct?
Yes, there's actually a write-up in the Washington Post and in Fitz News about him being found exposed. I think it was face down and beaten by a prostitute.
Probably one of them pronoun prostitutes. You got to do the Crocodile Dundee was weird, but he had it. You got to check, man. He went around the corner and got beat up, I reckon. One of my panelists in the back room said must be friends of Hunter. So Bill Sandifer, but beaten up by a prostitute in Panama. And obviously, because it says right here, remember I said, let's do it again. All Republican elected officials would be notified that this is being done, and such new entity will be a conduit to all SCGOP efforts in the area until further notice. So it sounds like Mr. Sandifer, Representative Sandifer, is doing the will or the bidding of Drew McKissick by going with them. Is he an attorney by any chance?
No,
so he's not even an attorney, so they can't say he works down there on my farm with me, and we went and got Mr. Sandifer and it worked out. They can't even do that. So basically, this guy's like, we have to take this Oconee County GOP out, right? So we're going to take Mr. Prostitute beat up. I feel bad that he got beat up by a prostitute. He shouldn't get beat up by anybody. But when it's time to pay, it's time to pay. So he went there and decided to go with the other rhinos and go down there and file a lawsuit against you for the checking account and all that when you still have yet to adjudicate whether or not you should have been removed at all. Am I right?
You're correct. And actually, we had told, I had emailed them and stated, I will make sure that all goods are turned over to the SCGOP party if we do not have duly elected members by that time. Mm-hmm. So Bill Sandifer's true reason I feel that he went down there is Perry Smith, the guy in the video before, actually went after him pretty hard and brought up a lot of dirt on Bill. Mm-hmm. And I think this was more vengeance from Bill Sandifer. The only EC meeting that Bill Sandifer ever showed up to
take you guys out, right?
Was the one that took us out. And guess what? We've had a meeting since then.
I'm so good at this.
Bill Sandifer was there? No. And while we were in the meeting and they were going through the process of removing us, Dave and I were the very last ones to be removed, and the chairman and me. And Bill Sandifer, I think he only woke up for the votes when he was brought to vote. So that's what we got for a representative.
So you got your beat up prostitute buying legislator traveling with the other people to get rid of you when we have shown that there is no way in hell that you should be removed. So we have that. Now I want to give an idea to who we're dealing with here. Here's a video where you guys were out and about, apparently somewhere up there in Oconee. And apparently you, there's a whole bunch of talk and love about how Democrats and Republicans are on the same team.
us a Republican, even though I'm a Democrat. You guys look like. To me, y'all couldn't remember the term this morning. It's either you're a blue dog Democrat. They have a house. Blue dog Democrat. That's a good one. More conservative Democrat. Well, I am a conservative Democrat. Well, anyways, I'll let you guys go. Talk to you later. If you see that Perry, don't send him my way. Don't send him my way.
All right, Chris.
Does it matter whether you're Democrat or Republican?
No, we don't care. Right. We don't care. All we care about is love of country. That's it. Nothing. That's as a Democrat. And I will say,
shaking a Republican
he's
hand.
he's one of the good ones. I left the party in 15, but I can talk.
Do you know what a rhino is? A rhino may be the lowest form of human life.
That's my favorite part at the end. So there you are. And look, I've always talked about we need to be able to talk across the line there with Democrats, and he calls them a blue dog Democrat. For those in the upstate, or I mean, in the northern part of the country or out west, they may not know what a blue dog Democrat is. Why don't you explain that?
A blue dog Democrat was really the Republicans before, or the Democrats that flipped Republican. They're supposed to be somewhat conservative. I can tell you, I don't see how anybody can stand on the Democratic Party platform. It's out there now, and that's something we failed to realize when they, he just stated, "Well, I'm with anybody that loves our country." The question is, what are you wanting our country to become? What is your vision of our country? And his vision of our country and a lot of the Democrats is far different than the vision that I have for our country. I'm all about freedom. I'm all about protecting our God-given rights. And they're about trading those freedoms for security. And we have seen in the past where that gets us.
Well, let me ask you this, because we're going to move on here, but Coney County, where it sits right now, would you say the people are riled up against the SCGOP for their totalitarian, tyrannical ways that they've done stuff? We're trying to help you get it out because this is systemic across our state. And when I started doing shows and talking about it, and I get people reaching out to me from California, from Ohio, Arkansas, New Hampshire, and this has become systemic. And then when Carrie Lake and all them came out, we know it's systemic because they pulled the money from Arizona. They gave it to the rhinos up in Alaska. This seems like the baby boomer Republican Party is trying like hell to not lose power in any way, shape, or form. And would you say that I am right in what I'm saying? Because it's not being promoted in any way, shape, or form. And is South Carolina red?
Well, let me answer the last question first.
All right.
South Carolina is the bluest red state out there.
Well, even if you go to CPAC and you look at our state, we are more purple than both North Carolina and Florida. And I want to say this, the people are red as hell, but they're dumb as hell at the same time because they keep following these bootlickers and these sycophants that are out there lying to their face, lying to their absolute face, like Drew McKissick. And who's that representative that went for a walk with everybody in Panama?
Bill Sanford.
Bill Sanford. So there's one legislator, and we have more to drop as far as names tonight because we're going to show some more ugly, and it only gets uglier as this moves on. Mickey, if you want to stay around, we might bring you back in for another question. I know you stayed at work, so you could use the good internet up there in Oconee. I appreciate you being a patriot and standing with the rest of the patriots in this state to right this wrong with these nefarious folks that are trying to bully, stampede, and run over so that they can all get their scraps from the establishment's table.
Yes.
Thank you very much. You have one last word for everybody?
The biggest thing I have is get involved. That's the only way change is going to come about, is to get involved.
Well, I thank you. Please stay if you'd like, and we'll bring you in for another question. I want to bring Roger up. We're going to go through the quickness because I've been going through his stuff, but I'm going to tie it to yours also, and because this is a geographical issue. And then we're going to bring in our whistleblower, and we're about to that's right. There's a whole bunch of people at the State House right now that are pucker factor 5. So That being said, I want to bring on and thank you so much. You're welcome on the show anytime, and we'll talk soon. And we're going to win this fight because we are the people. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Well, there's Roger. We're going to bring Roger Slagle back, the Horry County GOP. Roger, you were fired, or not fired, excuse me. They know better. And to think that he put up shared a video. Holy shit. How is Drew McKissick not fired me or said he's taken my EC away because I'm a proud member and delegate? And he hasn't got rid of me yet because he doesn't have the spine. That's why Mark Benoit would never come down to our house in Horry County, which is the independent republic, because he would get crushed, not physically, but just because we know our stuff. Now, Roger, I'm going to do the quickness here because you and I can talk forever. We do on the radio. And what I want to put out there is that you were the chairman along with Tracy Beans and Jeremy Halpin. Jeremy Halpin and Tracy Beans and yourself decided to resign on what date?
September 12th.
On September 12th. During that meeting, you stated that we are going to resign. When was that effective date to take place?
September 30.
September 30. In the bylaws of our pretty much everybody's. Again, this is systemic across the United States. And I forgot to do this, so I got to read off my phone. So bear with me here. Let's see. Actually, I'll let you talk about the vacancy. So, South Carolina Republican Party rules, Rule 5, Section E3. Oh, cool. It does that. I can see better. Should the office of the county chairman, county vice chair, or state executive committee become vacant, a county executive committee shall fill the vacancy by electing a chairman, vice chairman, or executive committeeman, respectively, for the expired time. Roger Slagle, you said it on the 12th. You stated it was going to be on the 30th that you were going to resign. Correct. You called for an emergency meeting of our executive committee to elect the positions that have resigned to continue to see over the SCGOP. You called for those elections. People put their names in and whatnot. And you walked up there that day on the 26th. And what did you say?
I basically said that I'm rescinding my resignation or I'm withdrawing my resignation. It was still 4 days before the effective date. And, the place went kind of nuts. And
in a positive way. You got a lot of claps.
Let's say half the people, yes, and the other half maybe not so much.
All right. So Robert's Rules of Order: a resignation is a request to be excused from a duty. It may be withdrawn in the same manner as any motion may be withdrawn. That is to say, before the proposed resignation has been placed before the assembly by the chair, stating the question on its acceptance, it may be withdrawn without the consent of the assembly. Again, without the consent of the assembly, but it may not be withdrawn with permission of the assembly once it has been placed before the assembly for its approval. Chairman Slagle did not receive consent from the ECs. There was never a vote by the executive committee on your resignation.
No.
Therefore, allowing for a withdrawal of his resignation in the same order in which he gave it. Now, the big question is, Drew, the petulant child McKissick, hates you and me and us, right? I mean, I'll say
Seems that way.
Because we're in his way, right? So he put out a thing saying, I accepted your resignation, which he actually sent an email, 30 minutes before that emergency meeting, correct?
Yeah, and not to me. Not to me.
He never sent it to you to accept, right?
I mean, okay. I saw it later, but yeah.
And everything else that we've been able to find states that you, in fact, have every right to rescind your resignation because you're the top of the pendulum, or you're the top of the heap there, and the boss, and the only people that could tell you otherwise is that of the executive committee, and no vote was ever taken or discussed, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Horry County Republican Party bylaws. Now that we've got the state, South Carolina Republican bylaws, we have the Robert's Rule of Order bylaws. Now let's do Horry County specific, shall we? Article 3, Section 2, election of a provisional Horry County Republican County Chairman as the first meeting of the County Executive Committee after the party's convention. The County Executive Committee shall elect from among its members as a provisional chairman of the party. We did that. His name is Mike Connett. He walks around and he looks like a baked potato. He wears all the shiny jackets and stuff we show. He's a real real winner. Where was I? Executive committee shall elect from its members. The sole function of the provisional chairman shall be to assume the duties and function of the chairman. In the event both the chairman or the vice chairman positions seem simultaneous, should simultaneously become vacant and they are unable to serve, this would go into place for the provisional chairman, correct?
That's correct.
So when this happened and the SCGOP lost their ever-loving mind when you rescinded your resignation, thankfully, thank God, Mr. Potato Head went up there in his jacket and all that and said, I'm the provisional chairman. We are going to have an election. It's going to be held here and it's going to be done here and we're going to do this, right?
Correct.
Well, it says right here in our own bylaws that it was never vacant. How do we know it was never vacant? Because you were the chairman and you presided over the very meeting that you pulled your resignation.
Exactly.
Correct?
Exactly.
Did the ECs, after you pull your resignation, lose their ever-loving mind and say, no, we have a motion to carry?
No.
Yes, they started. No, they didn't. They just started clapping profusely.
Yeah, and they wanted to get out of there. At least half the group.
And we were unable to have the rest of the elections because the other side completely lost their mind and called for a motion to adjourn, and we did so. Yeah. How about case law? That seems to be a big thing with the courts. Case law regarding withdrawal of a resignation. For your convenience, here's a paragraph that relates to the subject at hand. Resignation can also be made to be effective at some future date, i.e. the 30th, correct?
Exactly.
However, the elected official may change his or her mind and withdraw the resignation at any point up to the time specified for the resignation to be effective. Once the specific time period for the resignation is reached, it's automatically effective without any further action being required by the governing body. Chairman Roger Slagle withdrew his resignation before the effective date on September 26. So we have case law, we have Robert's rules, we have South Carolina Republican Party rules, and we have the Horry County Republican Party bylaws. I ask you, could you, in Drew McKissick's statement that he did here, or I'll do it in a minute, when the other side went and had their own little party and they elected all their malcontents, is it not true that he followed none of this?
Yeah, that's correct. And I think they conveniently...
He actually says in his letter that per South Carolina law. Have you seen this law yet?
No. And I've asked, for, I've gotten a few responses from Mr. McKissick, basically saying that, that I can't rescind a resignation, according to South Carolina Republican Party rules. I asked him to quote me the specific rule that makes reference to this. Nothing. We've been through the state rules. There's nothing in there. I think it's important. I think it's important to also mention, without getting too far into the weeds, is exactly what you just spoke about. As far as parliamentary rules, Robert's rules. If, let's say, and it says clearly in the state rules and also in bylaws, that when the rules or the bylaws are silent on a topic, and this is very specific. You're talking about a rescission of a resignation and then acceptance and things like that. I mean, if it's silent on that or doesn't get into the specificity, then you go to parliamentary rules. And the one that you read is very applicable, and that is in the state rules.
So I want to bring Mickey back for a second. Mickey, he's still here, and because there is something I forgot, but we just went into it. Mickey, welcome back. You have a precinct. So, Roger, what the chairman of the state, the petulant child, Drew McKissick, told you was that you cannot rescind a resignation, correct?
Yeah, he said it was, I'm paraphrasing, but it basically said, per SCGOP, Republican Party rules, that was not allowed.
Well, I'll be damned. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my favorite little bastard, hypocrisy. Sir, Mr. Mickey, you have a precinct called Union, correct?
South Union precinct, yes.
South Union. I'm sorry for the Southeast. you had a Drew McKissick sycophant or supporter, if you will, that was the EC there who resigned, correct?
Yes, and he resigned effective immediately.
Okay. With that resignation, 4 days later, what happened?
So what ended up happening is, as soon as he gave that resignation out, of course, his precinct members were happy to get rid of him.
We do like a win. We do like a win, I promise.
Yeah. So the president called for a nominating of a new EC, and the chair, or not the chair, the vice chair, because the chair was removed, realized that he was going to lose votes. And he requested that Luke Moore actually stay on.
Mm-hmm. Well, he wait. No. Stop it, Oconee. No, you had Roger Slagle was just told by the petulant child, Drew McKissick, and all of his buttons and shiny shit, and said, you cannot rescind a resignation in the SCGOP. Sir, I'm going to need you to be honest with me. How in the wide world of sports is it okay in Oconee County?
Well, you're forgetting. It's the rules for thee, but not for me.
Oh, I did forget that shit. I'm sorry. So, you're right.
That's where you screwed up. You forgot that.
Screwed up.
So, basically, we did use the letter from Horry County and the case law, and went through it and tried to prove out. We actually did prove out our case. I was the parliamentarian during the precinct meeting, and Luke Moore did not bring up any rejections, no point of orders, nothing. And he was even offered the chance to run again, and he decided not to run again. So the new EC was voted in with the supermajority, and he took his office. And the last county executive committee meeting that we went to, Jim Mann had him removed.
Wait, he was won by a supermajority over Mr. Resignation. The SCGOP chairman was given a letter and said that you cannot do that under any way, shape, or form, you rebel. So, am I right?
And there's another piece to the story.
Uh-oh.
So, prior to that meeting, the District 5 director got a call from Mark telling her that
Mark Benoit.
Yes, Mark Benoit, telling her that he could not remove this EC.
Because there's nothing in a bylaw anywhere other than supporting a Democrat during a primary to be removed as an EC, because the Lord our God and Drew McKissick and every other son of a bitch up there in Columbia would have Chad Caton removed forthwith.
So that really tells me that it was not Jim Mann that removed the duly elected EC, South Union EC, at the last executive committee meeting at the county. It was actually Drew McKissick.
Okay, so to put it into perspective, Roger Slagle, you were told that you were not allowed to resign and come back. Now, Mr. Mickey, you're telling me that an executive committeeman in South Union Precinct resigned 4 days later, came back, and Drew McKissick's like, he has every right to do that. It's like so stupid. What are you guys doing? And that person that you all elected, that whole thing about the Republic and, voting and shit, we don't care about that, because I need my guy to be voting the right way. Am I paraphrasing correctly?
I think you hit the nail on the head. You need so many of the precinct representatives to be able to change bylaws, and I think that's the next thing that we need to watch out for. We already seen how Rule 16 has affected us.
Oh, look at me. I'm looking to
see the bylaw changes.
Rule 16, no individual who holds any party, office, or delegate or alternate position may be party to any legal action against the party at any level or against party officers in their official capacities. Doing so shall result in an immediate vacancy of said office or delegate or alternate position. Well, ain't that a bitch? So, I believe they call that the Jeff Davis defense, or Jeff Davis rule in Greenville, because he keeps suing the piss out of them because they're always wrong.
Well,
Hoorah,
here's
yes, hoorah. But now let me ask you a question. They brought up Rule 16, and you brought Rule 16 up because they actually sued you and Mr. David. And this was Drew McKissick. Oh, wait, I hit the wrong. Damn, I was smooth on that one too. Fellow Republicans, this letter is to confirm that despite suggestions to the contrary by those who have no experience with our party rules, and you can hear him go, our state law regarding political parties in South Carolina, the remaining Oconee Republican Party officers have acted appropriately. No rules, including 16A, were violated in the course of recent events, particularly to 16A. It is clear that the defendants in the case were our former officer of the Oconee GOP, having been duly removed by their duly's a serious word, removed from their positions by vote of the committee within SCGOP staffer present. So he's just a staffer, not a parliamentarian, and serving as a parliamentarian. Oh, he's serving as a parliamentarian. Holy shit. Staffer to parliamentarian in 3 words. Further, the term officer, the in-state party rules, applies to those in elected positions created by the rules. Hopefully, this unfortunate episode will be behind us quickly, and the Oconee GOP can stay focused on our purpose as a party organizing to be prepared to win elections. I greatly appreciate all that you are in a party, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's weird. He's saying that it doesn't have to do with that when you guys are saying that you were never able to adjudicate whether or not you should have been kicked out because you were never able to put together a defense because the staffer / parliamentarian that nobody recognizes as 20-something years old said you guys were done and that's it. And so they're saying that you're not in the party anymore when you were you were still at the time had the money and the data and everything else. So,
well, we had one other thing.
Okay.
That's not mentioned. So the lawsuit was brought against a member that they tried voting out that night that was not voted out. So she remained in good standing. Mm-hmm. Shannon Baker was her name. The lawsuit mentioned her in this action. She was the precinct vice president. She's a delegate, and she's the District 1 director. And if you read in the the SCGOP rules under the definitions of what a county officer is, it states that they can be elected or appointed.
There you go. So again, rules for thee, but not for me.
There you go.
Am I right? All right. Let me come back to Roger. Thank you for coming back in because that was a perfect timing. I mean, we looked like we really knew what the hell we were doing there. Thank you for doing that. And again, throwing down the bombs that Drew McKissick did. And for those of you that are waiting for the big bombs, it's coming up here directly. Let me get with Roger. Roger, so we've proven that you are still the chairman based on the bylaws, the Roberts rules, the state bylaws, the Horry County bylaws, and we actually have Supreme Court. What is it? What do we call it?
Case law.
We actually have case law. So what mystical shit do they have out there that says otherwise to the point where they have done this? And this is Drew McKissick's letter to confirm the executive committee of the Horry County Republican Party met October 11, 2022 to elect new officers to the Horry County Republican Party. The following officers were elected at that time and accepted as such by the South Carolina Republican Party. Chairman Reese Boyd III, Esquire. Vice Chairman Robert Visconti. He apparently punches hoods of cars. State Executive Committeeman Mike Connett. He's the guy dressed up in the Mr. Potato jacket. These officers are the current duly elected officers to the Republican Party of Horry County, will continue to serve until the next convention in the Horry County Republican Party, which is anticipated to be held in or around April 2023. If we can provide any further information concerning the matter, please do not hesitate to contact me at any time. Douchebag. Okay. So let me ask you here, because I want to keep everybody with us here because we're getting ready to get to the big shit. Drew McKissick is out there putting together a whole new HCGOP. Do you have the bank account to the HCGOP?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have the data to the HCGOP?
I do.
Okay. Now, when they did this, it's to be understood that there needs to be a 2/3 vote to vote in a new executive staff. committee,
Correct.
meaning the chair, vice chair, and state executive committee person. They had 48, or they had just a majority. They did not have a 2/3. And Drew McKissick, in his own bylaws, is now accepting. This is his acceptance letter of the new ones. When the whole time we've shown that he has put together auxiliary groups and groups that have tried to just destroy us because we don't like him because he's not a Republican and he's a scumbag. I mean, it's just what it is. That's my words. I'll just say it. So that being said, where are you now in this whole thing? Because I went to a meeting the other day.
Yeah, and let me just say, I think there's sort of two things. One is, I never vacated my position. I rescinded prior to the effective date, so there never should have been a vote for my position. Regarding vice chair and state EC, you're absolutely right. They didn't have the required 2/3 quorum to elect those two positions.
So we haven't found anything based off of any of the bylaws or laws and what we are governed by in the Republican world we live in any way, shape, or form that says otherwise, that you are not the chairman.
That's correct.
Okay, so
other than maybe some mythical state rules that have been created in somebody's mind.
All right. Well, I don't want Getter to fall asleep because we got to bring on my next panelist. And for those of you that do follow me, me and this woman went at it for about a year, and we bloodied each other up pretty good. And we found some common ground. We were able to talk based on real shit. And as it turns out, I was proud, and this is where they say I'm just a bully and all those things. She is the female version of bully in my world, I guess, as far as truth. And there's going to be a heads explode all over Columbia. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my Ann Rogers State Executive Committee woman, Shannon Grady. Shannon, welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I bet you never thought you'd be on this show.
I never did. Well, not as an interviewee, perhaps as a discussion.
We have had some discussions. That being said, you are my whistleblower. You
Yes.
are going to drop some truths tonight, and
Yes,
I
I've
wanted
got some
Roger to be
receipts.
here. And this is going to hurt a lot. This is going to really bother a bunch of the establishment, and it's probably going to be picked up nationally. That being said, you are our state executive committee woman. Tomorrow at 4:00 in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yes.
There is our state executive committee meeting.
Correct.
Are you and Roger going?
We are.
Yes.
Yes.
So everything I pretty much showed today is they don't want you nowhere near that place, and they don't even recognize the SCGOP as we are the original and the OGs of the Republican Party here. So what are you expecting walking up there?
Well, given that I've emailed Drew and I've messaged with Hope Walker, and neither of them have responded to me in any positive way to say congratulations. I've been ghosted by Drew. I mean, he just doesn't want to respond at all. I did make multiple attempts with Hope to try to reason with her and Drew and explain exactly what you just went through, that, my experience, and I have some pretty serious experience in Robert's Rules, is that there was nothing that prohibited Roger from rescinding or taking back his resignation, which he did. And I made the point that the day that he said that you guys were all resigning on the 30th, they all stood and they applauded. Now, I made the point that at any time prior to or after the applauding, had one of the ECs said, I make a motion that we accept their resignations, and somebody seconded and they voted on it, then it couldn't be undone. As they say, the horses would have been out of the stall and you couldn't put them back in. That never happened. So I tried repeatedly to message with Hope because I've never had Drew's phone number. That's something I've just never had it. But
Hope is the state executive director. She's basically she was the lady in the video dragging Drew out of the place.
Correct. And so I messed with her. She did exchange back and forth, and her contention was, I'm sure what Drew had said, that Horry County had a policy that the parliamentarian would take over in the event of both the chair and the vice chair being absent or unable to fulfill their duties. And I responded, well, Roger didn't leave. He rescinded. He's still the chair. and therefore you need to let this continue on, and we'll get, the state EC elected, we'll get a vice chair elected, and then move forward with the reorg in the convention for the county in April, Mark. So she just didn't seem to want to accept that answer. That's not what they wanted. And so I said, listen, you're gonna cause a lot of problems legally, and money's going to be spent on this, and it's silly. It's really ridiculous. So
power, right?
it really does. It is really about power. And at the end of the day, what I can say is, and folks probably know this if they've watched your show, and I've heard, about our squabble, if you will. Our difference of opinion really goes all the way back to the last reorg because of Lynn Wood. I was not a Lynn Wood supporter, and I ceased to be I was prior to the Georgia runoff, in which he stood up on that stage and said, don't go vote. Republicans don't go vote. Boycott this election. It's rigged. While I agree it was rigged, not voting is basically forfeiting. You're just giving up. And then the Democrats don't even have to cheat. They just win. So that's not an answer. So from that moment on, I was very suspicious of him. And that was really what was the main catalyst in our disagreement, if you will. Once that was no longer an issue, and then we kind of progressed forward, I will say that it all began at our state convention. I think, Roger, correct me if I'm wrong, was that Pine Lakes Country Club? Is that where we had our state convention, our portion?
No, it was at the Surf Club.
So, okay, yes, I couldn't remember where it was. But at the club, after the election process was over and Drew had won, we were outside in kind of like the little foyer area, and it was Don Bound, and he was giddy. He was on the phone. He was just, being his normal exuberant self. And
red hats for Trump.
Red hats for Trump, yeah. Now he's been told to cease and desist that, so now it's Red Hats for America. But now I guess it's Horry County conservatives. But anyway, I
still
digress.
red.
Yeah. So Mike Conant's walking up, and he kind of, Don sort of acted like, I don't want Mike Conant here. And then he said, it doesn't matter. Guess who I'm on the phone with? Guess who I'm on the phone with? And I said, your wife? I don't know. And he goes, no, it's Pamela. It's Pamela, meaning Pamela Vett, the lieutenant governor. So I thought, okay, well, at that time I knew that she was having a home built along the beach, and Don was kind of helping her out by overseeing that while she wasn't there, so on and so forth. So like, whatever. But then he said, she's going to meet with us, and we're going to talk about how we can fix the mess that is at Horry County GOP. And so, of course, I was like, well, awesome. Wow. The lieutenant governor is going to help us out. This is incredible. I can't believe it. Because at that moment, understand, I knew nothing about Roger. Roger was an unknown quantity. And all I knew about you, Chad, was that you were the devil incarnate. So, and Tracy was QAnon. So that was my knowledge level at that point in time. And so as far as I was concerned, we had to do something to try to work through the process. So we ended up having a meeting not very long after that. And I think you have some text messages that lay that out.
Yeah, let's start with that. The first one is a lady named Jerry.
Jerry McDaniel. Yep, very active in this process. She was in that. So, I told her, I said, listen, actually, this is after we've had the first meeting, because we had that meeting in May.
Right. So let me to lay it out here. So the new GOP, we clandestinely took over the GOP. We put in our chair, vice chair, and executive committee women. And the day of, nice mug. And the day of, it was already the ball was already being rolled with Pamela Vett, the lieutenant governor, to fix this. What does that mean? To get rid of the HCGOP as it was voted in?
Well, essentially, it was to work around you guys. So this is where that whole concept of having the auxiliary Republican groups in the various counties that were rebellious, if you will, the rebellious counties, shall we call it, much like King George dealt with the rebellious colonies, or tried to. And so that's what was happening. Now, again, Don and he had a great, and still does have a good relationship with Pamela Vett. And so, of course, he said, come down here. We need your help. And so she acquiesced and came. And so we had a meeting, and it was held at Reese Boyd's law firm.
Wait, time out.
Okay.
Reese Boyd, the new chairman of their little party they got going on over there?
Yes, that is correct.
What an odd coincidence.
At his law.
Yeah, it is an odd coincidence.
He must have the only office in the world.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's go through these texts real quick, and you tell me what's being said here, because I don't know what order they're in, and You wanted me to have them earlier, so I didn't know how they came off the phone. But this here is Jerry McDaniel. Jerry McDaniel touts herself as Donald Trump's South Carolina director for, I think, 5 weeks or something like that before she was fired. It was in the Washington Post.
Right.
Or, actually,
Yeah,
it
she was a
Washington.
paid member of Trump's staff in 2016 here in South Carolina.
I hear she texts him every day. Her and Trump are
Not
pretty
so
close.
much.
Well, I've been to events where she said everybody get together because I'm sending this to Donald tonight. Did those pictures not get there?
I'm going to call it BS.
Okay, well, I guess we know where that's at. Maybe that's why it was only 5 weeks. Anywho, Don Bound, Mr. Red Hat, here he is. The only reason that I was asking was because Pam called me this morning and wanted to know if I was going. I do understand when you see her, please explain that I did try to get tickets, but they were sold out. I would appreciate that she knows I tried. Yes, sir. Please keep the fact that she called me between you, her, and me. Well, you blew
that's
that.
in reference to the governor in one of the events that, again, as Drew put out, he informed all the Republican members, elected officials, that they were to go through the Women's Club, the Horry County Republican Women's Club, of which I was the president, that they were to go through us rather than the SCGOP. You guys were completely usurped. You were circumnavigated. Nobody was going through you.
And you ran the Horry County Republican Women, which they used as one of their
auxiliaries.
Through there, yeah, for
Correct.
auxiliary.
So
you're admitting that your Horry County Republican Party Women's Party was absolutely an auxiliary to the rightfully duly, we like that word, duly elected GOP, HCGOP, just
correct.
like Drew said he did in the Fitz News, right?
Yes, that's 100% accurate. Yes.
Wow.
So at any rate, the governor and the lieutenant governor were coming to our event, or actually it was an event for the governor and his reelection campaign in June. And Don had been upset with me, and so he wasn't going to come because he was upset with me for some reason. I think it goes back to what you and I were able to accomplish in August, and he wasn't willing to help me. And so I let him know in no certain terms I thought he was a POS.
You're talking about when you reached out to Tracy and I to see if we could help you get some
translator from Afghanistan and his family saved. Yes. And I tried to get that information on to the Liz Calloway show. I tried through Liz, got no response, tried through Nick, got no response. And Nick did actually put me on the phone and had me on hold. And then Liz never let me on the show because she was too busy interviewing then candidate Russell Fry, who has such a wealth of military experience and knowledge that you could fill half of a thimble.
He's a peach.
Yeah, he's a real military expert. So anyway, she never say my name. I just wanted to have 2 minutes to share the names of these people so that they could get this information to the senators and to the congressmen to hopefully save them and get them out of Afghanistan before they were raped, tortured, and murdered. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. Then I tried the same thing with Don Bound because he's on there on Fridays. I failed there, tried with Reese Boyd, failed there, tried with Tim McGinnis, failed there. I was having no success with any of the folks who were supposed to be conservative beacons, and they were anything but because it wasn't glamorous enough for them. It didn't get them the rubbing the shoulders with somebody who's well known. So I wasn't allowed. So that's when I reached out to you and Tracy because I said, listen, I don't care. Put my personal differences and grievances aside. We got to save this family. And you and Tracy both stepped up and did everything in your power, and which considerably more than anybody else did. And I deeply appreciated that. And as far as I was concerned, you and I are both Navy veterans. And so as a former shipmate, I deeply appreciated that. And I said, look, any beef we had is gone. I respect what you did. And I didn't respect what Don had done or failed to do. So anyway, that was what led to him not wanting to come to the meeting. It was sort of like, I'll show Shannon, I just won't show up. I could care less. We had over 200 people. We couldn't get anybody else in the building because we had 200 people plus all the security and all the media. It was just crazy. You couldn't get anybody else in there. So that's what that text was about. But there's some other ones I think that I sent you from him where he lays out.
This one, I think Jerry McDaniel would be great. She could represent both HCRWC, which is the Horry County, I don't know.
And that's the Horry County Republican Women's Club, and then the American Conservative Voices. And in this instance, what he's talking about is the very beginning of working with the Welcome Center for the veterans in the tiny homes. And he wanted us and American Conservative Voices and, of course, Red Hats for America to get exposure. And he even says that right there. Does she not know how much exposure this could bring us? So that's one of the things that I started kind of having some reservations about working with Don, because I like helping veterans because I am one.
Sure.
And I'm married to a retired Army officer. So we get it. You get it. And I even know that Don's a veteran. So I'm a little disappointed in his using
By the way,
veterans.
On behalf of all the Navy out there, tell your husband to kiss our ass because Army beat you.
Right. Like, trust me.
I know.
Yeah. But so it was a little frustrating to me that he was doing this to get exposure and not because we want to help veterans. I mean, to me, I'm from the old school that you don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing when you're helping people. And so he was very much into this concept of, okay, we want to do this, but by the way, we want to get a lot of exposure for it. Let's get a lot of media there. And I was very uncomfortable with it. And he'd wanted me to reach out to some of my contacts, Dan Bongino and some others. And I'll just be honest with you, I really didn't make much of an effort. I made a little bit of an effort, but not much of one, because I just felt like I didn't feel right about it. It felt kind of icky. So anyway, so that was that situation. Then I think I gave you some other texts in which he lays out, he actually says, he lists.
We have Pamela behind us and all of her pull we can't lose. Sorry, better than me. You know the story about Robin and Alan, right? I don't know that story.
Yeah. Well, this was Lisa Bryant was calling me, and so he said, better you than not me, because she would talk forever because she was very upset with you, Chad, because you again were Satan incarnate. And I just wouldn't talk with her. I wouldn't do that. I said, Lisa, just block him, get off. Don't talk to him on Facebook. Stop doing this to yourself. But anyway, he was making the point that having the lieutenant governor support us and back what we were doing, being the opposition, if you will, to the SCGOP, was an important. Yeah, it was an important group, was an important move, and an important alliance. Now, the last meeting that they had, and they being the group that Reese Boyd created, he created a little secret group, and it was Reese Boyd, Jerry McDaniel, myself, Don Bound, Jim Fury, a former FBI agent, and
Mr. Comey, yes,
yes. So we were the dirty half dozen, dirty whatever you want to call us. And we were meeting to try to figure out what to do in terms of how to circumnavigate the SCGOP and do things for the Republican Party, such as you probably noticed, Roger, that you weren't getting any new movers. So people that move to South Carolina into Horry County from other states or other counties who are Republicans or want to be a part of the Republican Party, that information is typically given to you guys for you to reach out to that family or that individual. And that was not given to you. That was given to the Women's Club. And I printed it out. So I have probably 400 pages of that printed out. So if Mr. Benoit wants to deny that was done, he's a liar and the truth's not in him, because I printed it out. So I can.
That is a very highly touted email list.
Yes.
That is something that's necessary in order to do our job. And we have signed up over 200 new members to the Horry County Republican Party, paid members. And we didn't even have that list that is put out. And you're saying right here on this show right now that they absolutely circumvented the duly elected SCGOP. And this is prior to any resignation talk. This is right at the beginning that he gave it to the auxiliary group that you ran as the Horry County Republican Women.
Yes. And Drew bragged in that meeting that I mentioned in that email with Jerry and I that we went to meet. He bragged that there was no requirement in the rules that he had to work with any county party, that he was within his right to work with any other auxiliary group. Now,
then why can he adjudicate whether or not he's a rightful chair or not?
Right, exactly. So here's my issue with that, Chad. If the state party chair can do that, if he can basically circumnavigate, I'll use your word, the will of the people. The people voted Roger and Tracy and Jeremy in our county convention. Why is it? And what do we have? 600 people at that convention? I don't remember the numbers now. How many people came?
I think we had close to 700 delegates that had signed. And I think
it seemed like it was 670, something like it was a lot. It was a lot. And so we had a tremendous turnout. So basically what Drew McKissick did is he said, I don't care about all those people that voted, legally voted, had their IDs. They were legally there. Nobody paid them to come. They came of their own volition. They paid their own way in, and they came and they voted. Drew McKissick basically said, screw you. I don't like how you voted, so I'm just not going to recognize the individuals you elected. Now, imagine if the same thing were to happen. So, I don't know, a president or a governor or a senator. What the people want to do. If someone said, sorry, we're not going to recognize this person. In fact, we're going to make sure that this person's never received as the leader. So basically he de facto stole the election from me is what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I have to say I was complicit in that because I really thought, like I said, I didn't know much about Roger. Was very, you know, like, where'd this guy come from? You know, I don't know who he is. And, didn't know much about Tracy other than what I was told, and that she was QAnon. And listen, I'll be honest with you, for quite a long time, I was hoping QAnon was right. I was like, please let this be true, you know, please. And then after speaking with her, she said, listen, she said, I was with you in the same way. She said, in the beginning, I thought, yeah, this is great. And she said, but then I very quickly figured out these guys are Looney Tunes. You know, they're not legitimate. You can only move the goalpost so many times until people go, yeah, I don't think this is legitimate anymore. The last thing I was told, and then I'll wrap up the QAnon nonsense, was I was told by an individual that Biden was not actually in the White House. That was an actor. And the real President Biden was in prison. And then she said, do you know where? And I said, Gitmo? I mean, I was just my guess. She goes, no, he's on the moon. And I tried, you know, I had to try to keep a straight face. And I said, oh, God. He's on the moon? Yes, but he's underground. They built a prison underground on the moon, so you can't see him. And I was like, who built this prison? We did. The American people did. I said, but Obama killed NASA. How in the world is it even possible? We couldn't have gone. President Trump created Star Wars.
And CBs are badass.
That's
so
right.
let me
up there with some rebar.
You got some CBs. We'll build shit anywhere. So I want to put this out. You know where you're all busy, but I just wanted to let you know I talked with Pamela. She is excited to work with us. She really thinks we can make a difference. Now, before we go into that, I want to just rip through a couple of these. Reese's office at the radio station. By the way, he doesn't have one at the radio station. So was it at his legal office?
Yeah, what it was is the lieutenant governor was on his show that Saturday morning at the radio station, and then they left from the radio station and came to Reese's office, and we met right after the show.
Okay, so and then Rinky just asked me if I could get your email list. So this is the coveted email list. So now we're just handing it out to folks. Could you get your email list so that we can invite more people for the 14th? I think as we build our list, we should share. And we actually brought this up, Roger, who keeps giving our emails out for all of these unsolicited emails that are going around. Skinwalker has it. I mean, there's a ton of people. Don't forget Saturday morning. Whoa, here it is. Don't forget Saturday morning with our Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Evitt, Reese's office at the radio station. Now, there was another guy you brought up, Mr. Comey, Jim Furry. He's a former FBI agent that came after me, has ran his mouth a bunch, but his emails are about as disgusting about all of the people that are conservative in South Carolina that I could ever read. And this is coming from a former special agent in the FBI. They are not Republican. I can't even describe their prosperity of it's so small for arrogance. Even organization I have been associated with in my life have treated me with respect and honor, except these people who somehow feel that Machiavellian actions are justified. Never have experienced anything like this. Even the mafia, were more honorable in certain ways. Thanks for the info. If Reese, there he is again, gets us together, I'll see you. I'm not. You and your family have a good Thanksgiving. Now, this, just so y'all know, this wasn't just the other day. This was in 2021. It's right here at the bottom. And he went on to say, thanks, everybody. Everybody agrees with you, Lisa. Help me get the target precinct together so that I have to figure something to say to her without offending her. That's Lisa Bryant. I would just like to tell her that the way she reacts to things comes, people are afraid she might accidentally say something, or the plain truth that people are afraid that she might actually say something to the wrong person. But then she will get upset. So she's talking about this Lisa Bryant lady.
Yes.
And so we shall get upset and want to know who doesn't trust her. Reese initially wants you, me, Don Bound, Jerry McDaniel, the way they are lying to begin cells in other counties. It appears they already have a primary candidate or a planning on slapping in Linwood in the last minute. They're really there really is a nasty, evil empire. If you have any suggestions about Lisa, please, blah, blah, blah. And then we have one more piece from the former special agent. He saw, hey, saw on Facebook you were going out of town. I wanted to get Don Bound, Ron Mata, who is in charge of the South Strand Republican Club, Jerry Dreama Perdue, who we are currently suing for $26,000 that we can't find in the GOP when she was the former chair.
And
Mike Conant, maybe Mike Conant, Mary Robolini, the former vice chair, Reese, there he is again, and Russell Fry. So you're telling me, I'm going to lose my shit. So you're telling me that it's the congressman of the 7th Congressional, who is to represent all Republicans, conservatives, and people of his district, is talked about going into these bullshit meetings to try to get rid of us people that decided to go a different way in Horry County and put in absolute all new leadership. You're telling me that a now Congressman, Russell Fry, and the Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina, Pamela Yvette,
and there's more,
and the state chairman, the petulant child, Drew McKissick, which I'm not surprised at all.
And there's more.
Are all in on this. And I just got to know from my own ego.
And Tim McGinnis.
Whoa. Representative Tim McGinnis.
Yeah, he was letting us use his restaurant to meet the last time because Don and Reese wanted to try to get him to help as well. So I wasn't able to attend that last meeting because my dad was not well. So I wasn't able to attend that meeting. But yeah, so Tim McGinnis is in it as well.
So, and just for my own ego, this meeting was about taking out the new leadership of the HCGOP. Did I get any special discussions?
I wasn't at that particular meeting, so I don't know. You probably did. But obviously this is prior to the resignations that were put forward.
Oh yeah, this is just because they won the damn thing. So there was actively, we're talking about the creme de la creme, the House Majority Whip of Russell Fry, who is now the 7th Congressional Congressman from Horry County, the Lieutenant Governor, who we all know wants to run for governor after McMaster's done, and House Legislator Tim McGinnis, along with a former special agent from the FBI. And then the former director of Donald Trump, South Carolina, were in these meetings to take down the Horry County Republican Party leadership. Is that right?
Wait, let's use the correct words. The duly elected Horry County GOP leadership.
Holy shitballs. This just blows my mind. This is what I'm talking about. This is the establishment uniparty that gives a flip about any of you, America. They don't give a shit. They want to keep their people at that table, getting whatever scraps. And Jerry McDaniel's getting scraps. They get to go to tea parties at the governor's mansion, and the governor does one of these when he walks out and waves to a group of women. This is it. Tim McGinnis, the House representative, the Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina, Pamela Yvette, and our new Congressman, Russell Fry, actively worked to destroy the leadership of the HCGOP, who was duly elected.
Yeah, with over almost 700 people within Horry County.
Come on, Shannon, don't let a little election get in the way.
Yeah, hey, listen, and not for nothing, it was Drew McKissick who again and again and again said getting involved in the party will give you more power because you'll be able to vote, you'll be able to make decisions, you'll be able to put people in positions of leadership. But he left out the part about you can only put people in positions of leadership if they're people that I agree with.
Well, first off, we've been yelling because we destroyed the men's group in Horry County. He what's his name, couldn't even come to this town. And it all exploded in his face also. We actually had Russell Fry, who was running for Congress at the time, refuse to vote in a very important vote because he was being interviewed by this group that was set up by Drew McKissick. This is about as RICO act as you can get. This is the government working actively against the people, citizens, volunteers in the local Republican Party to destroy what we the people that duly elected are. So what?
I do have more.
Oh, shit. Well, I don't got any more slides, so let her rip, Tater.
Yeah. Here's what I got.
Well, here.
I'm gonna try to omit a couple of names because I did get this information and I was asked not to share. But I'm just going to say it this way, and I know those of us in Horry County will know who I'm talking about. The 7th congressional race, as you all know, there were 7, 8. If you count Mark McBride, there were 8 candidates in the race. Mr. Drew McKissick, the governor, reached out to one of those candidates and said, "Listen, we would like for you to run for something else. We want you to get out of this race. We want you to run for another position within the state." This particular candidate said, "Well, that position you want me to run for already has like 10 people running in it. There's no way I'd win that." And he was told, and I quote, "It won't matter if there are 100 people in this race. If you want that position, it's yours." Now, the only way that you can guarantee that somebody's going to get a position when it's an election is if you have some way that you put your finger on the scales of the electoral process. So that came from the governor and that came from Drew McKissick. And they weighed in on the 7th congressional district candidates trying to basically bribe another one of the candidates to drop out.
So you had the governor and the state chairman, Drew McKissick, said that doesn't matter how many people are running. We'll take care of it.
Yep.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the person we're talking to, for anybody that jumped on, because I just saw a whole bunch of people come on to one of the different platforms because somebody was like, "Holy shit," in here. The person we're talking to right now is the former president of the Horry County Republican Women's Club that was an auxiliary shadow group to take out the duly elected HCGOP chair, vice chair, and executive committee woman who has been very, very active and very, very close to the establishment and has since decided to blow the whistle on what is about as un-American as you can get in the concept of running our party in order for the establishment, GOP establishment pieces of shit. God, I'm sorry. It makes me mad. My mother-in-law right now is like, stop it. But this is where they're stepping all over the people. This is why you have a Mitch McConnell who has 7% approval rating getting voted as the leader of the Senate, Senate minority. This is the reason they're not listening to you. And this is the reason that you don't have a Carrie Lake. This is the reason you don't have an Aim Abedin. This is the reason you don't have a Dr. Oz, which, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. I mean, the guy.
And that's the reason, Chad, when that happened, it was just prior to the convention and the Silver Elephant. You know, that all happened the same weekend. I almost didn't go because I was so upset when I got this information. And I trust this source vehemently. I believe every word that was said to me is absolute truth. This person would have no reason to have lied to me. They didn't even have to tell me this. And so as I said, it was just before the Silver Elephant and the convention. And it was hard for me to even go to that. I was so disappointed and just disillusioned. And then that's when I had that epiphany. And I said, well, hell, that's exactly what we were doing. We were basically working around what the people voted for. So I was just as complicit in trying to overthrow the people's will as anybody else. And so, again, that's when I came to you guys. And I'm sure you remember, I apologized to you all. I was wrong. What I did was wrong, and I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't turn my back on you for a while, but
yeah, I believe
y'all right now. Shannon Grady is no joke. She is a fighter, and she knows how this game's played. She has been out there, and I put this video up here, and I didn't know why, but now I do. The people is we the people, and we fought like hell to get these machines looked at. We have talked to our county council. We've talked to Roger has met with Mike Lindell's people and the sheriff and the solicitor, and we were the only county that actually got our Horry County Council to write a referendum or a motion to the state election committee to investigate. But it took the people of the real Horry County Republican Party to pass that motion. And then the people that live and breathe this stuff, and we're out there. I'm not collecting. There's no use a code on my show here. And you know what? I gave this speech at county council, and now looking at this speech now, after everything you just said, has me even more pissed off.
Yep.
To do this uncomfortable, look into these elections, look into these machines, which you have the absolute authority to do. Every one of these departments need to stop kicking the can and do what we, the people, said. and say, I ask you, I'm not angry, I'm not a thug right now, but we will only get louder. We will only start to organize more, and we will be heard, and this will be done, because one way or another, we are the people. Thank you. Shannon, that, and with music, that's the only one I could find that I could actually hear, even though the music, because we put it on TikTok. But I put my heart into that speech. I believed in it, and I knew it, and I was called a liar. My wife is arguably one of the best experts in ES&S in the country, I would assume, just based off of the research and the people she's talked to. And we were constantly told that we were conspiracy theorists, dirtbags, and everything else. And now you are sitting here with me. You are sitting here with me telling me that the lieutenant governor of South Carolina, our lieutenant governor, and a legislator in Tim McGinnis and former anchor on and owns the famous toastery here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, along with the one of 50 RNC chairmans in the United States, is actively hunting MAGA.
I mean, what I'm telling you is that I know that there were some unscrupulous things done. And for those who, some folks are asking, my name is Shannon Grady. I am the past president of the Horry County Republican Women's Club, a federated women's club. And I was the president of that group. And we were the auxiliary, our shadow group, whatever you want to call us, that state party used in lieu of using the duly elected SCGOP leadership and members. So yeah, it was, as I said, you know, looking back at the time, I thought we were doing the right thing because everything I had heard, again, you were Satan incarnate. Roger was this unknown, you know, he came from China. He's probably a communist. I didn't really buy into that, but I did know who he was. So the not knowing is kind of like, so there was a lot of misinformation, really. Okay. And, but, you know, if you have intelligence, and I think I have intelligence, you do finally see through the fog. And I did. And it became pretty clear to me that I had been on the wrong side of the table. And so I changed. After I heard that information about being told it doesn't matter how many people are in this race, we can make sure you get it. Actually, the quote was, won't matter if there's 100 people in the race. If you want this, it's yours. And I thought, well, how do you make sure somebody gets an election? How does that work? I mean, the only way I know you can do it is, as I said, if you put your thumb on the scale of the electoral process, which is illegal. But that seems to be what's happening across our country. Arizona, I mean, you name a state, really. I think it's happening everywhere.
So let me ask you this, and we'll close it up. Unless you have more names.
Now, I gave the last one out there.
All in one show. We'll space it out, because I'm also going to try to bring her on my Brighteon show on Thursday. Then we'll have the smaller piece of this. And we have AOC, the guy that John Cummings, who ran against AOC, is going to join us also. Shannon, I have to ask you, why?
Because I believe in doing what's right. And when I was working with them, I thought we were doing what was right. And I came to the realization that I was wrong. And I've said this before, the Democratic Party, as far as I'm concerned, is 100% corrupt. But I've now come to the realization that the Republican Party is probably 90% corrupt. And that is disheartening. And I want to see that fixed. It will take a lion share of work to get that fixed, but we have to start with putting ourselves out there. I know right now I just painted a giant target on myself, and so be it, because I'm going to do what's right regardless of the threats that are going to come and the so on and so forth. So that's why.
Well, I'm going to bring Roger Slagle back. Actually, I'm going to bring Mr. Mickey in. He's still here. Mr. Mickey, you just heard all that. You're dealing with your own thing up there in Little Oconee, and you just heard those bombs be dropped. What do you have to say to Shannon?
I applaud you. Thank you for coming forward. It really helps put the pieces together. You know, one of the statements I made early on was that it took us a while to realize that these were coordinated events. That it wasn't individual actors. And this actually even brings that more to the surface. So I really appreciate what you're doing. People need to realize you are a true patriot.
Amen.
And thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you very much, Mr. Mickey. And Roger, what would you like to say to Shannon? Your
Well,
executive.
I'm glad. I'm glad you had me parked for a little while. I was so stunned. It was nice to just process it for a minute.
Wait till I do my close and what I'm what I'm fired up about today. I might have an aneurysm.
Unbelievable. And Shannon, listen, I kind of had a bit of a hint of some of the things that you knew. And I also, applaud what you've done. And, it takes real guts. It takes real patriotism. It takes real courage to call out things. And, obviously you got into doing certain things, and you realized, that, hey, I've been deceived, and I need to bring this to light. So thank you. I applaud, and I'll speak for myself, but I think there are a whole lot of people in our party here in Horry County and across the state that are going to have your back. So thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, you know what? I've never done this before, but I'm going to go ahead because I think you deserve it. I'm going to go into what I'm fired up about today, and I want you to stay on the screen with me.
Okay.
You are my shipmate. You joined the United States Navy, and your husband has put his life on the line for this country. You stood in what you believed in, and even though that I was the evil incarnate, I'll be damned if you didn't give me some nights where I'm like, I'm going to knock this bitch out. And you did that job. You were tough. And I'm so proud to know that deep down, no matter who it is in the military, their true colors always show. That training, the understanding of giving, understanding of patriotism, what it is, the loss that we have felt around us in the military by those that are laying under flags and buried in these cemeteries. This country is something that we all need to keep in a real position, and something that hurts inside of all of us. People say that we're over dramatic and that it's not that bad, but it continues to get worse.
Yep.
It continues to be in a position where we have little men that couldn't play a down of football, or let alone carry my ammo for my M203. You couldn't do it, Drew. So you became a slick Rick. And that's what you're doing to this state. And the thing is, Drew McKissick is just one of many of these same chairmen. What you are is somebody that has decided to take a shit on the very flag that you try to stand in front of as some sort of leader. We the people is at the top of the Constitution, not you and your people. And this is what it looks like, Drew. This is what it looks like, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette. This is what it looks like, Don Bound, Mr. I don't know nothing about, I'm a newbie to politics. You're full of crap. And then Jerry McDaniel, your whisper campaigns do nothing to anybody anymore. You're irrelevant because you once were somebody that was about patriotism, but you fell on the side of this to where, and she said, I'm complicit. It's one thing to stand and say that I am or that I know this, but it takes a lot more balls to stand there and say that I was wrong and that I need to fix this inalienable right, or this is or just make it right based off of what evil has been done. I'm going to say this to you right now, Shannon. I will stand in that pit with you. I will stand next to you. And if anybody comes for you, I got a whole bunch of MAGA South Carolinians and probably MAGA folks across this flipping nation, because we're pissed off. We're tired of this, and it's time for heads to roll. And for the FBI and CIA, I'm speaking figuratively, of course, by removing them from office and taking control of your GOP. Carrie Lake needs it, and any other great American that stands and wants to stand on that line and take the beating that is constant, like the mouth-breathing media that's writing about me and Jeff Davis when we had nothing to do with any of it. You can kiss my ass too. This needs to be dealt with. And Shannon, I applaud you from sea to shining sea, because you are exactly what we talk about at I'm Fired Up. We had our time, and you came at me, I came at you. But when your people needed help, I did what was right. And when you're sitting where you are right now, you just implicated some very big names in the country in regards to not only voter fraud and the fixing of elections, but also shitting all over the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the idea of what makes this republic great. Shannon, I consider you a friend. I have never been prouder. And thank you for doing the right thing. Your honor, courage, commitment is well intact. And don't let any of these button-wearing boomers that go to happy hour and call themselves Republicans say anything otherwise. And I ask every patriot in the country, if you see Shannon out there, she's getting blasted by these people because she did just put a huge target on her back, stand with her, because South Carolina is about to explode. And I'm going to find a way. And I pray to God tomorrow when you walk to that building, Drew McKissick finds his humility and realizes he made a mistake and calls you and Roger Slagle the rightful HCGOP representation of arguably the most powerful county in the state of South Carolina. Because you think that you've got it, Drew? Bet me. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go out with some good old America, and I'm going to play this because I saw my boy Rowdy's on Getter right now, and this is his favorite, and I can't think of a better way to go out. Remember, show up, stand up, speak up. Thank you, Shannon, because it is our republic, and tonight you fought for it.
Thank you.
And now here to perform the American National Anthem, please welcome our Galaxy Social Night Contest winner, the tiny but mighty 7-year-old singer from Los Angeles, Malaya Emma Chandragwijaya.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regulate, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
I half think we should all just go home now. There's